Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to the Trovo Grand Prix, jointly organised by Brutal Democracy and PSGL. Today, we go to one of the new tracks on the F1 2020 game. It is Zandvoort in the Netherlands. My name is Jess, one of your commentators, and joining me in the commentary box for the next 2 hours is Austin Smith. How are you doing, Austin?
I'm doing fantastic, Jess. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm excited. First proper race on F1 2020 on the PS4. PSGL and Brutal Democracy are leading the way, and I can't wait for this action to begin.
Yeah, and Zandvoort obviously is a fantastic track. I mean, this is the shortest track. It was supposed to be, at least, the shortest track on the calendar, barring Monaco, at just 4.259 kilometers. Shorter than all the other ones we had. Austria, Interlagos, just barely, only by around 60 meters. But it is indeed shorter, and it also has a lot of history. The first Grand Prix, the first Formula One Grand Prix held here was in 1952. It's been a long time. And the last one was in 1985, so we haven't been here for 35 years. Make it 36 next year, when hopefully, finally, we get the first real F1 race in 36 years around here. But we get it a year early, or, well, just under a year early, with the Trovo Grand Prix. We're going to have a full qualifying session. So that means Q1 18 minutes, Q2 15 minutes, Q3 12 minutes. It also means the tires for the top 10 are going to be the tires that they qualified on in Q2. And then a 50% race, which is going to amount to 36 laps or 153.3 kilometers.
Indeed, and just look at the drivers we've got here tonight as well. Pretty much 20 of, I would say, one of the best drivers we've seen in PS4 ever, to be honest, obviously. Obviously, most people have taken part in Season 25 last year in PSGL, of course. We've got familiar faces to the grid tonight. A few people from BDG as well. We've got Fabi, Jordan, and obviously Louis Welsh, all from BDG representing Brutal tonight, and also other people from different teams. And from what I've seen for the last few days of them practicing on this game or around this track, they're producing some laps which I'm not even expecting around here.
Yeah, I've had a look at the time trial boards, and I also had a little bit of a go myself on this track. And I gotta say, the first thing is, it is a very, very fun track to drive if you are on your own. It gets a little bit trickier if you're not. It's very hard to overtake around here. The best spots are probably into turn 1, the Tarzan corner, it's actually called. And probably maybe into turn 12 if you feel a little bit fancy, into the Audi S. But apart from that, not that many overtaking opportunities around here. Very winding track and not that many heavy braking zones, so that's going to be interesting. But also a lot of banking. I think that's part of the story of this track, really. Turn 1, slightly banked. Turn 4, very heavily banked. That might actually catch some drivers out. Then we also have turn 8, Scheivlak. I know that is not a swear word. It may sound like one, but it really isn't. It's the Dutch word for border. Has a long history, this corner, and that is one that is slightly banked. And then obviously turn 15, named after Arie Luijendijk, that is also very banked.
Yeah, I can't even pronounce those names, so I think we're just going to refer it to the top corner numbers here tonight as well. You just realised you were only having 19 drivers. I believe one driver is turning up for the race. I think he couldn't make the start of qualifying, so I believe that's Onyx who can't make the first part of it. So I do remember, because he did say it to me earlier on. So thanks to Onyx for that. But he'll be starting at the back of the grid of the race. And speaking of Onyx, actually, whilst I'm at it, we were doing some time. Let me start again. Time trial research, and Onyx was the first name that came up for me as being one of the fastest drivers around this track. Shame he's not qualifying tonight and just racing. A 108.007 in time trial was Onyx, and I'm quite surprised to see who was second in there. IGK Gill, who is currently racing in the Haas right now as well. So, and obviously we got the Vasta Racer as well. Casper's in there in the top 50 as well. There's quite a lot of people in the top 50. There's about 14, 15 drivers in the top 100 as well. So, you see what I mean by being one of the fastest drivers on PS4 right now? This is what it is.
Yeah, and it gets even crazier if you dispatch all the time trial drivers who have set a lap time in there with ABS on. There's a lot of talk right now with the game's release that ABS is overpowered, and quite honestly, I would have to agree. Then again, I do like ABS. I'm not as good as these drivers are, so I do like my ABS. But it certainly seems to be overpowered. If you discard those ABS drivers in the leaderboards, then Onyx is number 1, Gil is number 2, Vasta Race is number 3, then we have Casper at number 7, Sparks at number 9, Paris Burrell at number 10, and it goes on like that. We have P11 as well here in CRG Blizzard, 12 Liam Parnell, so this is really the best of the best on the PS4.
Yeah, obviously they were in the top tier for a reason, because they produce great lap times like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do today. Cut-off time, I would say, for potential Q1 and Q2, I would say mid to low 108s, 109s potentially for these drivers. I think a lot of people are going to the 108 anyway. So as long as you get close to the 108, well, early into the 108s, into the 107s, you should safely be qualifying into Q2, almost certainly. But we don't know, because the field is that close compared to time trial times. I think it's probably going to be anyone's game on who's going to basically qualify into the next stages. You will never know. And since Onyx is not here, there's only going to be 4 drivers, I believe, that's going to be out of Q1. So more chance for people to make it into Q2, but I can't call it at the moment who's going to make it through into Q2 at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be really close. There are 3 drivers on this grid who have not set a time trial lap. One of them is Danny MG for the S2V team. We know how quick Danny is. I mean, after all, Danny Moreno is a name you will hear most likely at the 2020 F1 Esports Pro draft. He has qualified for it. So if there's one thing that he really doesn't lack, it's pace. And we couldn't find a time for him. He didn't set a time on time trial. So that's another name you have to remember and look out for. And the other 2 are Lee Findlay and Ash Best, both for VSR. And they're not slow either. They're not slouches either. So it's really anyone's game here. And I think we're going to see the Q1 cutoff. As you said, high 108s is probably a really good guess. Maybe into the mid 108s, although I think they will take it a little bit slower here in Q1, because you have to remember the drivers only have 4 sets of the soft tires, 5 if they went for the softer tire distribution, which they may have, but Lee Findlay certainly didn't, as he's running on mediums out there right now, so we know he didn't. So that means 4 tires for all 3 sessions. So that's going to be a little bit tight there. You want to have 1 fresh set for every session, obviously, because they give you the best time and the best pace.
Yeah, definitely. I just need to find someone, actually, that's on a lap right now, actually. Oh, that's good timing. There goes Danny, that's on a lap right now as he goes through turn number 1. I need to actually get my notes up. There we go. The main braking points on this circuit is the 150-meter board for most of these brake marker boards, but there's some of them, he's a little bit twitchy there, but obviously it's fun to drive on your own, but when you're not on your own, it's going to be a lot more difficult. But you're going to go up the hill. You go full throttle until you go up the hill and then go down the hill to the right-hand side a little bit. You've got to be managing your errs in qualifying, because no assists are off. Well, all assists are off. All assists are off in this Trovo Grand Prix tonight. So they got to rely on overtake. The overtake button is a lot different because obviously in the last game you have to manage your ERS completely, both in qualifying and the race. Whereas in this game, you just manage it in qualifying. There's 3 modes. There's there's 2 modes. There's zero and then there's hot lap. But in the race, you only got to worry about the overtake button. But again, you got to manage that very well. But we'll talk about that later on as well. There's another banking Danny goes here at the moment as he's setting. I think it's a banker lap at the moment, because I think he went off just a little bit. Yeah, it is a 117.7. So I expect him to go a little bit faster than what we've seen right now. That's not represented at all at the moment, but I know he can go quicker.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers can go a little bit quicker than they are currently right now. I mean, we see 117s there by Danny and Voster Racer. That's certainly bound to improve, as seems like they're going, at least Danny, yeah, both of them are going for another one as they try to improve. And we have a yellow flag in the final sector. That's just from someone going slow, letting other people by and trying to find a little bit of a gap. That is going to be the issue here with 20 cars right now in Q1. It can get really, really close on this 4.2 kilometer circuit. That means every driver has around 200 and how much is that? 213 meters to himself. That isn't much on this track. With a minute 8, that means you really only have about a gap of 3 seconds to the guy in front and the guy behind. So you can see a driver for the most part. It's going to get really, really busy around here.
And what I've noticed as well in full qualifying is if you bin it as well and you think, oh, yeah, I'm safe, but you want to get another lap in, there's a danger that if you bin it, then that's the end of your qualifying session completely. Even if you set a competitive lap time, if you got damage in your car, it's like real life. There's no way it's going to be repaired by Q2 or Q3. So that's another thing to watch out for as well. And obviously, they're still following by the rules, the PSGL rules, of course, because it was organised by PSGL as well. So we are keeping an eye on track limits tonight as much as possible. And there's a little bit more of an incentive tonight to win, to either get first, second or third. There's prizes involved in this race tonight, just like season 26 where there's a prize pool for the top tier. But this time for this race tonight, first place gets £35, second place gets £10, and third place gets £5. So these guys want to win it tonight. I think for some of them, they don't care about where else they finish. They just want to win. And I know with the 20 cars we've got on track tonight, it is going to make some great racing.
Oh, for sure. We see how close it is right now. If we look at the gap between P1 and P14, which is just barely outside the drop zone, it's exactly half a second between 14 drivers. And the other ones, Fabi, Lee Findlay, Ashbest, Lickle, and Blizzard, they're definitely going to improve on their current times. Ashbest right now, the last one to leave the pits of those that I just mentioned, as Fabi is on a lap, and so is Blizzard. Blizzard's going to be the first one to try and at least get a time of those 3 down there, with Ashbest and Lickle still in their outlap. Through the Audi S he comes. A little bit of acceleration here. You want to get as much as possible. He's running low on ERS. You can see there, 10%. As soon as you hit 10%, that means that your ERS deployment is cut in half. And he's going to come across the line with pretty much 0 there. And it's a 1 minute 8.8. It's so far okay. I mean, you see how close it is, really. It's remarkable.
I can't even do a 108, let alone a 109. I thought, before going into this broadcast, I thought, yeah, 109 should be respectable around this track. Then the next minute, I've seen the time trials and they were like 108s, 107s. I was like, what? I kind of underestimated myself there. I mean, another thing about this track, since there was no races this year, obviously due to COVID-19, the Dutch Grand Prix got cancelled till next year. Obviously, we didn't know about the lap time. Some people don't know about the strategy either. It's all different. They're learning a new track. Some of them have never raced on this track before, except they played either like ACC or Assetto Corsa, potentially. Well, the older version of Assetto Corsa where they had Zandvoort in it. Not many people have experience, so they've got to try and learn the track from scratch and from videos as well. So for some of them, there's still times on the tracks to be found, depending on how many races you do around this circuit. So expect these guys to go faster that way as well.
Yeah, certainly. Whenever you have a new track that is brought into Formula One, you have drivers learning it over time and learning the intricacies of that track, which you don't really have on old tracks that have been there for a while, like Monza or Spa. Everyone knows how to take these corners. There is a little bit of difference, obviously, as well with the handling of the cars. But for the most part, there's still F1 cars, despite the handling changes Codemasters have brought to the game from 19 to 20. And so the drivers definitely know how to handle these cars, and they've adjusted. Well, I mean, we see that, as I mentioned before, on the leaderboard, number 1, 2, and 3, without any assists, all here tonight.
That's crazy. That's insane. In the top 10 as well. So, you know, and we're more than likely going to see, depending on how many sign-ups we are for season 26, of course, we may see the top tier completely no assist, just like tonight. So this is technically practice for the evaluation races and obviously the first round of season 26 coming out. I don't know. I think it's in August time. Beginning of August, depending on if the game cooperates and if there's hardly any glitches as well. The team got to make sure that there's the game's all right for league racing, obviously, before we start a full season. But, you know, it's just good practice for some of the guys that... There's some of these guys they hardly run any racing line. I think most of these guys have no racing line, it's fine. But for people that are not used to it, like Louis, for example, it may be a challenge, but I can tell Louis is already used to this game already, as he's fastest at the moment with a 108.5.
Yeah, Louis, we talked a lot about him on F1 2019, where he was obviously dominating everywhere whenever he was allowed to use the racing line. That luxury has been taken away from him, but I think from what I hear, he's been trying it without the line all throughout, or ever since the release of F1 2020 anyway. He wants to ditch it, he wants to get rid of it, go full no assists, obviously no ABS, none of that, but also no line. And so far so good, I would have to say. He's still in the lead there. It seems like he's very safe. Who we're looking at in the drop zone right now is Lickle, Midnight, Lee Findlay, and Fabi, who need to improve desperately as Danny takes number 1 spot, 108.3. That's still a little bit away from the fastest time trial that we've seen from Onyx, 108.007. 007, if you will. Onyx gonna jump in like James Bond mid-session or probably towards the end of the qualifying sessions, just so he's in time for the race, and then last to first challenge maybe for Onyx, but he's not here. He's gonna start from the back. Lee Findlay, meanwhile, starting another lap. Oh no, he's going slow. He's taking it slow. That's not his end though. He has enough time to make it round once more. Just needs to find a spot here. Oh, no,
he's not. He's retired on track as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right.
Are you meant to do that?
I don't think so, and it slowed down Fabi to a point where Fabi now ran into the back of Lee Findlay, damaged his front wing, and that is the session over for him as well. So, I don't think that's how it was supposed to work there. 2 victims, effectively. Lee Findlay not thinking that he's got it in him, retiring on track, and then Fabi running into the back of him. However, there's Midnight still running. He's waiting for an outlap. There's a Renault flying past. That was, I think...
Was that Simon? Simon?
I don't think so. I think it was Casper.
Oh, it was...
Casper's
in the pits.
It was Simon. Yeah, it was Simon. My bad. He moves up to P13. So just that little bit of buffer that he gives himself to get out of that drop zone. Midnight now starting his lap. Lickle gets across the line with 22 seconds, so just in time. Aero has invalidated his lap. I think that's qualifying 1 at least over for him. He will not make it to the line, so he's certainly at risk here. Cannot improve at this point in time. Blizzard comes across the line. How much can he improve, if at all? Yes, P8. So
nice.
Very, very easy for him there. 108.6. Definitely made it. Thyman also no more time for him as he's on no ERS deployment and just on a cooldown lap, really. Midnight now through the Audi S. It's still not invalid. I didn't see the second sector split, unfortunately. But might be up for one here through the final real corner.
Oh, that's his qualifying dump.
Oh, this might be a yellow flag in the final corner. This might ruin the qualifying for everyone, including Lickle, who's getting there right now. Yellow flag in the final sector. And yeah, invalid anyway. So we have our 4 drivers that are eliminated. Lickle Blocks, Midnight, Lee Findlay, and Fabi are going to be eliminated, and it would have been enough for Lickle had he not invalidated that. He would have been in P15.
Aww.
Right behind Thyman, but ahead of Aero had he not invalidated his lap. That is about as cruel as it can get.
Well, that's qualifying, well, full qualifying there for you, really, to be honest. It's cool, but fair, to be honest. But, yeah, such a shame for Midnight just to bin it like that. He was looking on for a very strong qualifying as well towards the end, but he left his very best attempt to the last minute as well. And Aero, VRT Aero, got very lucky there that the guys below him binned it, and that's him. I believe that's him through to Q2, only just by about 1/10, almost, actually less than that, actually. So
yeah, it's 300ths of a second.
Wow, yeah, 300ths actually. So, you know, you can count your chickens before they hatch, but I don't need a miracle if you want to make it through to Q3, but I think you'll just be happy that he's made it through to Q2 and beating the likes of the big names. We've got to say, Midnight and Lee are out of Q1, so I think everyone else will probably be retiring now because obviously they're obviously through to Q2. But the story so far, Danny with the fastest lap in Q1, 108.3. I'm sure we're going to see a lot faster than that going into the next 2 sessions as the track starts to evolve, of course.
Yeah, that is going to be very, very crucial. And that means that for the drivers, it's going to be very important that they actually leave themselves some time, but don't go out too late. Maybe set a banker lap early on and then go for the fast one towards the end as Danny tops the sheets here with the 1 minute 8.3. 2/10, which is quite a world considering that 2nd and 11th are also 2/10 away. So Danny is as far away from Louis as Casper in P11 is. That is a world of time. And 7/10 between 18 of the 19 drivers, with Fabi definitely having the potential to improve, but unfortunately the situation there with Lee Findlay ruined his lap. Very unfortunate for him. But that's how it goes sometimes in racing, really.
Yeah, indeed. We obviously see some shockers in real life, of course, in the first few races of the season where some of the big names have been dropped out of Q1 or even Q2. So we may see the same tonight as we head to the second part of the session. Another dry session, obviously, in Q2, obviously, and the only difference is they'll have to start on the tyre that they set their fastest lap on in Q2. So this makes things a little bit more crucial. They can't afford to start on the race with 2 or 3 little lap-old softs. It's just impossible. Otherwise, they'll have to pit even earlier than the pit window that we predicted. So we will see strategy. They really got to think about strategy at this point more than anything, but they got to make sure that they're comfortable with their pace on whatever tyre they choose to go on.
Yeah, I think for most drivers, it is going to be the soft tyre. If anyone goes on to the medium, the big issue here is that despite it being such a short track, due to the nature of the corners, it still means that the medium tyre, fresh, loses about 1.1 seconds per lap to the soft. So you lose a whole load of time, and 1.1 seconds, as we saw, that would have been the difference between P1 and P18. So, and probably more than that, P19 actually. So really, it's the difference between being number 1 and not making it out of Q1.
Probably the closest full qualifying session in Q1 that I've seen in ages, actually. But it just goes to show how quick these drivers are in a session, to be honest. They are the best of the best. And imagine what it's going to be like when they submit their time trials later on. And obviously when they do the evaluation races as well, that's going to be even closer. But obviously we'll wait until that happens, obviously. when season 26 comes along, when the preparations comes out. Of course, you can check that out obviously you can check all the races are streamed live on the PSGL YouTube channel for season 26, all live streamed and commentated. You can check that out as well. Most people are now out on their laps at the moment, apart from Danny and Ashbeth. I'm guessing they want to get a bit of free air, but if they leave it too late, like we said earlier, this may lead to them doing a one-shot quali towards the end, and we may see a midnight situation happen for one of these drivers if they're not careful.
Could very well happen. That is the risk as Louis spins on the exit of Vodafone Corner. I think that is. Yep, that was the exit of Vodafone Corner. It's before the second DRS straight, the back straight, as he now heads towards the Audi S. So yeah, got a little bit of the inside curve there. And some of the curves around this track generally can be quite tricky. That is one of them. Another being on the exit of turn 14, we saw Midnight invalidating his lap there. If you run just a little bit too wide, that is going to invalidate the lap for you, as now Louis comes into the pits, aborts his first run. The tires, I would assume they're not completely done. He might actually still set a banker lap on these tires, but yeah, for the fast lap, they're pretty much unusable at this point.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. He has less tyres to use in the sessions as well, obviously, like the 4 choices of soft tyres for the whole of qualifying. So he's got a lot of work to do, but knowing Louis, he always likes challenges, and there's a sometimes, mostly, there's a challenge he can always face and prove us wrong, really. So we'll see as we get into the end of Q2, obviously, to see if his mistake he did at the start of Q2 might have cost him. We'll have to wait and see. Don't forget, the bottom 5 drivers in this Q2 session will be eliminated at the end of this session, and that will leave with 10 drivers making it into the final part of qualifying, where they'll have to basically go. There's a free-for-all. It doesn't matter what tyres they go on, really. They'll settle on the fastest tyre possible, and the fastest time on Q3 will get pole position. And I'm getting a communicating with online services thing pop up on my screen. Oh, it's back now. It's okay. And I did see another Renault. Oh, no, it's back. Oh, it's back again. Oh, for goodness sake. Hopefully we don't get that in the rest of the street. I did see another Renault spinning somewhere. It might have been Simon, actually, that was spinning. And Louis back out already. Okay, so he wants to get a lap done pretty quickly then.
Yeah, always good to get your banker lap in. And the 2 Renaults are very close to each other right now with Casper and Thyman. So they're both running slow as well. I don't know if they're doing some sort of tactics here because they are in different esports teams as much as they are in the same Renault right now, in the same car, but they are in different esports teams. So I would be surprised if they do actually give each other some help, and Thyman goes into the pits, and so does Casper, interestingly.
Yeah, that's where most of them go on to set their, well, to probably set a few more stints. I can't follow anybody else at the moment. Sorry about the obviously it's the first week of the game, and we do have sometimes there's a few issues with the hopefully the drivers don't experience this as well, because I think there was one point where I was racing around Zandvoort and I kept getting this glitch, and it's really hard to see at times as well, so hopefully it goes away pretty soon once we carry on into the session. But fastest lap time at the moment set by Faster Racer 1884, not that far off Danny's fastest time in Q2, but I think it'll be a lot faster going into the final part, obviously. So, as I think there's a few people leaving the session, because obviously they are getting the same glitch as me, most likely. So, hopefully it's fixed soon, but yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, Faster Racer's time would have been good enough for P2, just behind Danny in the first qualifying session. But now VSR Prinens comes across the line to take P6 with a 108.789. And yeah, right now good enough, but there's still 5 drivers who have not set any lap time, one of them being Danny, another being Paris, Louis, Sparks. I mean, all of these drivers are really good. So yeah, and then we have 2 drivers who have set yeah, they must have made some sort of mistake. Gil 122, certainly there's been a mistake on that lap, and Gamer 111.4, a mistake that probably cost them around 2.5 to 3 seconds. Maybe some sort of slide, or maybe a spin where you can recover it quite easily. Maybe in the Audi S.
Yeah, I think you can gain a lot of time in the Audi S. Actually, I'm quite surprised Gil hasn't got a perfect lap yet, because he's one of the top guys on around this chat, but obviously there was a few other guys that had a little bit more practice. They may have not done time trials, so, you know, obviously a lot of guys probably quicker than him, but he has to be quick to get his next lap in, because otherwise he's going to be out of Q2 pretty quickly, as do other guys who haven't set a lap time yet as well. I've got to say, people that could be in danger, I'm going to predict, I'm going to do bold predictions here. Aero just missed out on, well, just scraped through Q2, so I think he's going to possibly be in danger as well. Simon as well could be in danger. Everybody else is going to be too close to call. The times are that close.
Yeah, as I was looking on board with Gil, and he actually aborted his lap. It looked pretty good to that point, but then he missed the apex of turn 10, the Renault corner, quite significantly, and he decided, you know what, I'm going to try next time. And he's going to start another one now. He has enough ERS for that. Generally, the drivers lose around 35 to 40% ERS. So if you start the lap with at least 50%, you will be fine. If you start it with less than that, you're going to run under those 10% that you don't want to hit. Because under 10%, as I mentioned before, you only have half deployment of your energy.
Yeah, same for the race as well. If you use too much for your overtake and you go to 10%, then your overtake is less powerful compared to the driver in front that's probably not using overtake or not even using DRS. So that is something to watch out for in the race for sure. As I do believe Gil had a purple set to 1, but he's just invalidated his lap time. That is another costly mistake for Gil. I mean, I'm a bit worried for him. He's only got 6 minutes left. It is definitely going to be one-shot quali for the Haas driver at this rate.
Yeah, I think what may have thrown him off a little bit as he now fully cuts the corner there, just to get back to the pits, is that he was going past Danny, who's on a cooldown lap, and it was right in the very fast sections there of turns 8 and 9. And Danny wasn't impeding him in any way, but maybe just the presence of Danny being there on the track and being slow in front of him just caught him off guard a little bit and made him make a mistake right after in turns 9 and 10. So I think that may have played a role there. And it was the inside of turn 9 of the Marlboro corner that he cut there. So he was a little bit too aggressive on that curb. And the game says, no, you can't do that. And Louis Welch, meanwhile, posts his first time, 108.8. That is good enough right now to just scrape into Q3 if things stay the way they are, which they probably won't. But that's 2 milliseconds ahead of Sparks. That is about as close as it can get.
Exactly. He doesn't have that long at all, and obviously his first chance was aborted. Maybe his mistake has gone back to bite him at the moment, really. But knowing Louis, he's probably going to set the times of light at the end of qualifying and possibly challenge Danny. Now, I've seen the rivalry with Danny and Louis in many leagues before, and it gets pretty competitive, to be honest. I have seen them battle quite a lot in like tracks such as Austria as well, Bahrain. Obviously, the tracks where they like the most, and obviously they tend to get quite close on pace as well. In Q1, they seem to be close on pace too, so we could see them challenging the top spots as well as other drivers as well. Obviously, it's too close to call, to be honest, at this stage. Everyone's now going into the pits now to get a final set of, well, they don't have many softs to run for, really, so some of them will be going on new set of softs potentially, or going on their third set of softs to set their final lap in Q2. Hopefully they haven't used too much, or if not all their softs yet, because otherwise they're going to be slow in Q3 if they make it, or obviously in the final part of Q2. So they've got to use their tires wisely.
Arrow has spun.
Ooh.
That is turn 9. That is on the exit of Scheivlak and into the Marlboro corner. Oh, and I don't know what happened. I just saw the back end of this, and he just completely spun. That front wing is damaged to a very, very high extent there. My goodness, that was a high-speed crash. And that is the danger of Zandvoort. And I'm surprised he is not out of this one, because you go through that corner, you go through this banked turn 8 with about speeds of 280, 290 kilometers an hour. Obviously, you do break a little bit down to maybe 250 as the apex speed. But still, that is a very high-speed crash there. And he's going to tried to nurse the car back home to the pits. Question is whether in 3 minutes, and even less than that, usually a minute at this point, really, his pit crew can fix that front wing. It shouldn't take long. The front wing, just you just exchange them. You don't have to really do much about it. It's just take it off. I mean, in the race, it takes 5 seconds to do so. So it should be very quick for them to do that as the car's now being pushed into the garage. Will he be able to make it back out? That is the question.
With 2 minutes to go, it's going to be tight for Aero, but, well, we'll have to wait and see, of course. Obviously, he's in the danger zone at the moment. 14th place out of the 15 drivers in Q2, of course. Obviously, 4 drivers were knocked out in Q1, and obviously 5 are getting knocked out of Q2. Let us know your predictions in the chat on who you think's going to stay safe into Q2. Now, I'm impressed with Jordan's lap time, 1:08.4. Now, he's retired from the session, so I do believe he's going to... I think he's pretty much confirmed that he thinks he's going to be safe, but honestly, there's a lot of guys that are saving their best laps to Q2, so they may be going even faster, and that may knock Jordan off, but we'll see. He's not that far off, Danny, so I'm sure he'll be definitely safe anyway, but I am a bit worried about Aero, who is...
Yeah, he just made it out. He just made it out.
Oh,
So
thank goodness.
he has one more chance, and he's definitely going to make it around the track. Remember, 1:08, the lap time here, so he definitely has enough time, and it seems like he has found himself a really good spot on track as Casper moves up to P2. That is a fantastic lap time, 1:08.4, and he puts himself just behind Danny right now as we have yellow flags in sector 2 and 3. That's drivers really just trying to find a slot for their final lap. That's Paris Burrell, Blizzard, and Priddens, I think. They're the ones trying to find something here, as I think Ash Best as well. And he just came out of the pits, and he's really late, but still on time to get a lap in. You can leave it really late around here. As Louis Welch in P14, you don't see that every day. He comes through the final corner. How far can he improve, if at all? Not invalid this lap. 1:07, 1:08, the time is ticking. 1:08.5, P6 for Louis, and that... I don't want to call it this early, but it's looking good for him. Let's just say that.
In a normal session with normal drivers, I would say, yeah, that's safe. But with this caliber of drivers, we don't know. We don't know who's safe and who hasn't. Pretty much the top 15 is separated by pretty much 6 temps, 7 temps. So any mistake in this track, and that's it, that's your qualifying over. And I think Louis is confident that he's safe in quali, because obviously I think he's going to go into the pits. Gill's in the pits as well. Now that is interesting. So I think he must have invalidated again, or he didn't have time. He's out.
Gamer's in the pits, so he's out. We know that. Ooh. Blizzard coming through the final corner. Meanwhile, his CRG teammate taking a short line to the line. What's his time going to be? P6. So he moves up. That's 1 place down for Louis. Paris Burrell, he's not attempting one. He's no ERS deployment, so he's not trying.
Simon's out as well. Simon's out.
Ash Best and Aero are the last ones, really. And Aero coming through the final corner. He is going to set a 1:08.876 improvement by 400ths, but no position change. So it's really Gill or Ash Best. Let's see, second sector split, 0.08 of a second up. That would be just enough. If he can keep that in the last sector and stay pretty much on time with Gill, that he would get it by 4 thousandths of a second. Final corner, close run to the line, and can he make it?
Oh,
yes, he does. P9, and Gill is out. Gill, Thyman, Gamer, Prinens, and Aero, the 5 drivers out in Q2. Wow.
Brilliant. Ash Best, that was too close for comfort for Ash Best. He was like a thousandth close to not making it, and now he was a tenth quicker than Gill, and obviously like a thousandth quicker than Sparks. I mean, he's not just jumped 1 position, he's jumped 2 positions. So good on Ash Best. He's made it through, and he's now going to see if he could get his fast lap possible to take pole position in this pretty much 10-person shootout for the grid, pretty much. But Gil is now one of the top 2 in time trial is out, but it just goes to show time trial is definitely different than multiplayer. Obviously, with time trial, the ERS is staying the same. There's no tie attempts as well. Tie attempts can play a massive factor around this circuit, so that's what probably is affecting him that much here today. But it's Danny that is on top once again for Q2, but this time it's Casper in second place as well. Obviously, these guys you've seen quite at the top a lot in the Esports Cup and the PSGL Esports Cup. If you were watching that, I definitely was. Most people knew what team I was supporting. But yeah, those two were there pretty much every race, scoring points for their team, and they're doing well in Q2 today. Maybe people to knock Louis off their perch. Maybe we could see Louis up there again. And Jordan up there in P3 for BDG. A great qualifying performance for Jordan, representing Brutal Democracy, of course. BDG is looking quite strong with their 2 drivers out there. Obviously, Jordan and Louis as well. And obviously, Midnight down near the last place as well. But Jordan and Louis, they're very impressive showing for the team today.
Yeah, if we're looking at the teams that so far have drivers in Q3, BDG have 2 drivers with Louis and Jordan. CRG have 2 drivers with Sparks and Blizzard. S2V have 3 drivers with Paris Burrell, Liam Parnell, and Danny. And VSR have 3 drivers as well with Ashbest, Vaster Racer, and Casper. So it's really an affair of 4 esports teams here who are fighting for pole position in these final 11.5 minutes. It was 12 at the start of the session, but we've already lost a couple. Oh, my bad. Lost a couple of seconds here. Vaster Racer, the first one out. And really, this is going to be important here. All the drivers are going to have 1 new set. So they had 3 sets of the softs, 1 set of the medium, or 4 sets of the softs if they chose a different distribution, the softer one. Now they get 1 additional set that was previously locked for Q1 and Q2 that was reserved for Q3. And everyone in here has at least 1 fresh set of the soft. So that's the good news for all the drivers. The question is, when are they going to use it? Are they going to use it straight away for the banker lap? I wouldn't think so. Usually the strategy is you take an old set. If you have a second new set, you know, you can take that from one of the earlier qualifyings and use that right now, and then use the fresh set towards the very end of the session when the track is at its fastest, and try to get that pole position.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen in real life, of course, as well, like with the 4 wets as well. They only had 2 or 3 to use in the entire session in quali, and obviously quite a lot of people were using 2 sets, like in Q1 or Q2. And I think what made the difference was Mercedes, who were the top. They had more fresh sets to use in qualifying, so that made a difference on whether they were able to set a fast lap or not, because they had more to play with, where the other guys, they had 1 less set than everybody else. So I wonder for some of these guys, which fresh sets have they used and which ones they've still got to use, really. This might make the difference on who will get pole. We'll have to wait and see, as everyone's on the lap now except Ash Beth is in the pits. Danny's on his out lap right now. I do believe Casper was no, it wasn't Casper that was the first person. I do see Vaster Racer, who is in at the Mercedes, and he's going through the banking now as he's going through the final few. I love in this banking on F1 2020, one of my favourite corners on the game. As he gets to the DRS wide open, the shortest one to the line, a 1.84 for Vaster Racer. He sets the first time of the session. And we got more people setting lap times as well. We do see an AlphaTauri out, who's just out lap of Paris with a 108.4. And Jordan coming up there with a 108.494 as well. Well, Paris was a 108.5, sorry. Casper just set a time of 108.5. Louis improved to a 108.6. We still got Danny out there as well. He could go even quicker. Wow, he's purple in set to 1. That is crazy right now. I can't remember what his lap time he set was in Q1, but
it was a 108.3 both times in Q1 and Q2.
Could we
so
see?
It would both times, by the way, his lap time both times would have beat the current provisional pole sitter of Sparks with a 108.366. So both times he would have been just slightly quicker than that. I think both times it was a 108.34. So 200ths of a second. Gets a bit of a slide there on the exit of turn 14 and doesn't take the short run that everyone else takes. But it doesn't matter.
Wow.
108.2. Wow. And Blizzard has also made it out of the pits now. He's running counter to everyone else, it seems. Ash Best still in the pits. Maybe that's the tire issue that we see here for Ash Best. That he's waiting in the pits because he only has that new set of soft tires that he got reserved for Q3. And he doesn't have anything else left. And so he's like, why should I go out and set a banker lap that's barely going to make it into the 108s and put me in P9 or P10 anyway? I could just wait here, maybe work a little bit on the... I know you can't work on the setup anymore. It's Parc Ferme at this point. But, you know, maybe, you know, try to see what the other guys are doing and spectate a little bit and try to learn from them. And then try to set my lap when the track is at its very best.
Yeah, that's the thing about full qualifying. Obviously, you don't. Obviously, with short qualifying, you could tweak your setup just a little bit, but not too much. Whereas in full qualifying, you can't. So that is the important part here as well. But obviously, it gives them more time, obviously, to get a lap if they're on Parc Ferme conditions, because all they could just do is get some tyres on, fit them on, and then go straight out on the track. No messing around here. And there's only 10 drivers, obviously, so I'm not surprised most of them went out on their lap straight away, really. Blizzard looking fast as well. Purple in sector 1 looking pretty impressive as well. In 10th at the moment, but he hasn't set a lap time yet. I do believe he's on a fresh set of soft, by the way. He's attacking the track right now, but oh, that was a bit of a slide there from Blizzard. I think he's lost a bit of time there. We'll see what his sector 2 split is, a 47.8. That was not the fastest out of anyone at the moment. He might have lost a bit of time there, but that's his only lap of the session, so I didn't see what his delta was compared to the last session, but you don't get that, obviously, in Q3. As he comes across the line, it would have probably been in the top 3 pretty much if he didn't mess up his lap. He only goes P8. I wonder if that mistake costed him there.
Yeah, most likely. I was looking at what sort of sector split Danny had in the or after the second sector, and it was a 47.396. So let's say 47.4. So he lost 4/10 in the middle, or yeah, towards, and he went purple in the first. So we know he lost that much in the middle sector. Because he did go purple in the first there, and in fact, yeah, he was... oh no, he did lose a lot in the first sector, actually. Looking at it right now at the race director, he did actually lose more in the first sector. In the second to Danny, only a 10th and a half. So it would still made a mistake. It would still have made a difference. You know, 10th and a half, that would have been about P6, maybe P5 if he gets just a little bit more.
Yes.
But still, you know, 2-3 positions, that could make the difference in the race.
Yeah, and a track where overtaking is difficult, it's like Monaco, really. Qualifying position is key around here. So if you mess up, obviously, then that's your chances of potentially getting moves done pretty much. And Louis has now gone faster in sector 1. So we're seeing sector 1 times go even quicker as the session goes on. Obviously, they don't have to worry about if they're using it for the race, because obviously their Q2 tyres that they set their fastest lap will be used in the race. So they just got to worry about the ones they use for Q3 just to set this lap here. They can push all they want, because it will be removed from use, obviously, in the race, unless they have damage, of course, where they have to reuse one of their qualifying tyres, which is not ideal, of course. Louis comes across the line now. Nice helicopter shot. 108.3 from Louis. That puts him P2. That's more like it from Louis. He was way down in Q2, but is he saving the best to this session, do you think?
Could very well be. Would be a smart call. If you can make it into Q3 and save a little bit and have maybe 2 fresh sets of soft tires, then yeah, surely that is a very good call. So I'm not sure whether Louis did that or not, but it's certainly a possibility that he did, as he's going for another lap. No, he's just not saving ERS. That's what it is, I think. He's still a hot lap mode. But I don't think this is going to be a fast lap from him. He's going very quickly. Oh, I think he just wants to make it to the pits as quickly as possible.
It's not long left. It's not long left, so...
Yeah, but I don't think he's that stressed for time. Yeah, he goes to to no ERS deployment now. And back to hot lap mode. I don't know what he's doing there, but yeah, that's definitely going to the pits. Let's see, anyone else? All on out laps. Ash Best on an in lap.
Yeah, Louis just going to the pits now.
Yeah, Danny is going to be the first one to start another lap. Well, not right now, but a couple seconds left until he crosses the line. And a little bit early here, 2 minutes 50 when he crosses the line right now. It's not the best timing. You want to leave it to the last possible second, ideally, but you know, it still kind of works. And let's see the first sector. He was on a 29.596 on his best lap so far. So first sector split coming up right after this right-hander here downhill. It's a really crazy corner, this one. And we already saw Viatiero getting claimed there, and he's 0.03 of a second down on his previous time. Yellow flag as well in the Audi S. That's just for drivers going a bit slowly. That's not any sort of spin or any sort of debris or anything there. It's just a driver going slow for his lap. And Danny through the middle sector. What was his time? I did not see it.
Yeah, I was paying attention to his lap in more detail. I didn't actually see the sector times, but it definitely wasn't faster.
0.03 of a second slower. So 37 overall, but his last sector must have been absolutely mental. This Audi S, he gained a lot of time there apparently. 108.1.
Imagine what he would have done if he didn't lose time in that first sector. He would have gone to do a 108.0 or 109 or 107.9. And bearing in mind...
He didn't lose that much in the first two sectors, Jess. He lost about half a tenth.
Oh, half a tenth. Okay. So that's so it would have been...
Still a 108.1.
So it still would have been...
only better.
Yeah, but... obviously, it's time trial, but the world record is a 107.9. So I don't think we'll see that today, but...
Well, it needs to be said, the 107.9 was set with ABS on. The world record on the PS4... with no assists is a 108.007 by VSL Onyx, who's going to join for the race. In fact, he has joined the lobby a few minutes ago.
I forgot what car he's on now.
But we'll be starting from P20.
Yeah, I don't know what car he's going in. Obviously, these drivers have Haas. Okay, so they obviously got free choice of cars, obviously, for this race. Obviously, it's not like PSGL seasons where they have to go in their desired car. If they win the lobby first, they get free choice, obviously. So, as Danny is retired, but I wonder if he's made that gamble work, because I wonder if any people have just saved the best till last, like Louis, like Casper, like Blizzard, for example. And we got 5 seconds to go before the end of qualifying, and there's people that are just about to finish their lap. We do have a Mert which is going across the line. That is Vasta Racer. And no, he's not on the lap right now. He's on 0, so he can't improve. Who's next? We've got a Renault.
Louis is on a lap there. Renault would be Casper.
Yeah, Casper's coming across the line.
Yeah, he's coming through the final corner.
I didn't see his sector 2 split. So it'll be interesting to see if he can go into the top 3, maybe even top 2. 108.3, that puts him 5th place.
Yeah,
not what you validated.
Yeah, that is the exit curve of turn 14. We talked about it earlier, and that is the one that came back to bite him. And now it's really just Blizzard. Everyone else is on no ERS deployment, but Blizzard, purple sector 2. Ooh. So if anyone can make it, it's CRG Blizzard as he comes through the final corner. And it is P8. Oh, that was very, very anticlimactic there. I was expecting him as Ash Best. Also, he saved some ERS and he moves up to P9. And it's Jordan, who was looking so good in Q2. How the mighty have fallen down to P10. But it needs to be said, 0.3 between all of them.
That's insane.
All of them. Yeah.
That's insane. And we've barely had the game for like nearly a week. And they're still setting those times. You can tell they practiced for this, really, to be honest. Zandvoort is just a great track on the game. That's the first thing I did when I got F1 2020. One of the tracks I tried first was Zandvoort. So that's probably what most people have done. So your top 10 for the Trovo Cup. Well, the Trovo Grand Prix, organised by Brutal Democracy and PSGL, are as follows. Danny MG, pole, 108.1. That's insane. He must be an alien or something. Sparks, P2. Where did that come from him? 32 thousandths. So his last lap was absolutely amazing. We got Fast Racer in third, Louis in fourth, then we got Casper in fifth, Paris in sixth, we got Liam in seventh, and we got Blizzard, Ash, Best, and Jordan in 10th place. They'll have to start on those soft tyres for the race. I think all to the top 10 have qualified on the soft in Q2. So we'll go through strategy in a minute. And we've got a nice little graphic coming up in game, which Codemasters and AWS have jointly brought in. And I like it. It comes up at random times for different people. For the spectator that might be streaming it, it may come out at a different time to the one who's not streaming it. It's happened before, so you may see it before me. We'll have to wait and see about that one. But strategy, most people I've seen, I think most people, because obviously the most people are starting on the softs, the most viable strategy is go onto the hards around laps 11 to 13. Pit time will be about 16 seconds. The hards should make it to the end, really. If you want to go on the mediums, do mediums to hards. Or there may be people that just do the I won't see many people doing the alternate strategy today. Hard to softs. The hards are not a good race tire to start with, but it's good towards the end, obviously, when the tyres are warmed up. So if I were you, probably in the top 10, obviously, start on the softs. And it's a faster race tyre, so we'll see.
The issue with the alternate strategy is, of course, that if you ever run an alternate strategy where you have the softer tyre towards the end, you're going to have to make some overtakes. And if there's one thing that you don't want to have to do around here, that you don't want to be forced to make, it's overtakes. It's so hard. We mentioned it before. Very, very hard to make any sort of overtake happen around here. And even with the difference between the softs and the hards being around 2.3 seconds per lap, it's still almost impossible to make it past other drivers. And you got to remember that tire goes down further and further. The soft degrades quicker, much quicker, obviously, than the hard tire. And so you lose that 2.3 second delta more and more every lap. After one lap, it's probably already down to 2.1 seconds. Then it goes down to 1.9 and so on and so forth. And the crossover point between the softs and the hard is after 14 laps of each.
Yeah. And obviously the softs are the C3s, the mediums are the C2s, and the hards are the C1s. Now, looking at the tyre choice for the outside the top 10, I'm shocked to see 5-6 people are on the hards and going for the alternate strategy. That's Gamer, Prinez, Aero, Lickle Blocks, Midnight, and Fabi. Everybody else outside the top 10, which is Gil, Simon, Lee Finley, and Onyx, they've opted for the medium tyres. So a bit of a mixture than I thought. Then obviously the top 10, they have no choice to start on the softs. But one thing we won't see every day is a Williams starting on pole position. So, the one thing we get it is in the game. So, obviously Williams had a good qualifying this weekend. They didn't get it in the race, but we'll see if Danny could regain Williams' fortunes in the first race on PSGL/BDG tonight. Who do you think is going to win, Austin?
That is a really good question, Jess. I would say you have to go with the favourite. You have to go with the guy who's been first in every one of the 3 qualifying sessions. The guy who's won the AOR PS4 F1 last season. I mean, the guy who's really won everything and made it to the F1 Esports Pro Draft this year. You gotta go with S2V Danny MG.
I think I'm going to go for the same, to be honest with you. Everybody else is going to be close. And don't forget, as I said earlier on, the top 3, they get money at the end of this. They get not the amount of money, obviously, we're getting in the... obviously, and here we go. The pit stop strategy, there we go, is showing on our screens right now. There we go, looking lovely. It pops up for a split second, but there we go. That is what we get in the game, ladies and gentlemen, and we may see it pop up a few times this stream. We'll have to wait and see, of course. So I do believe we were waiting for Onyx to load up, which he did, which is good news. So we've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here in Zandvoort, and we are racing in this cup, and we've got Danny MG has got to a very good start from Sparks into turn 1, and I'm thinking we're seeing a glitch in the spectators, so the cars are jumping everywhere, but we're seeing lots of cars changing for position. I think everyone has made it clean through the banking, and I think someone's gone off the circuit. We see a Renault has gone off the circuit. Yeah, it's Casper.
Was trying to make an overtake happen on Paris Burrell, went a little bit too deep into turn 3, and is now under pressure by Louis. They're going side by side. Louis has the inside for turn 8 here, but you can hold it around the outside, and Casper does very well so, but now the inside, they're still side by. How much longer are they going to go side by side here? This is incredible to watch. They're still not giving up. And who is going to have the upper hand? I think it's Casper now. Just about. He still leaves in the space. Louis now the inside for the Audi S. I think this is where they're going to have to go one by one.
Ooh,
and
wow.
Yeah, finally, with a little bit of force there, I think Casper made it through and kept at least P5 ahead of Louis. What a start there. Paris Burrell, meanwhile, has gained 2 positions already. Started from P6 up to P4. Louis lost 2. And VSR Onyx, I mean, we know he's fast in the halves here, but from P20 to P13 on 1 lap. What an opening lap that has been.
Brilliant stuff from Onyx. I mean, you know, he's a big fan of this circuit from what I've heard, but I'm not going to jinx anything more. So, you know, he don't forget, he didn't set a lap in quali. He's gone to this track pretty much blind, not knowing what his competitive times were going to be, but that just obviously gives him more chance to work on race pace pretty much, as well as obviously Danny pulling up a good gap between himself and Sparks right now. I think the interesting gaps will be roughly between, I think, the midfield, I think, in this race. Gil as well is getting close to Liam, and obviously we've got Blizzard as well, with potentially closing up to Louis. We can see Casper starting to pull off a little bit of a gap from Louis, but they're all super close around this really tight circuit. Who said you can't overtake in Zandvoort? Well, these guys are proving us wrong otherwise.
Well, yeah, on lap 1, if you get a good start, etc., then yeah, sure. But as soon as lap 1's over, we haven't seen a single overtake, I think, in lap 2. And that goes to show. Now we have DRS enabled, though, as we have, I think that's Jordan in the pits.
Yep, that is. Where is he going? I think he's had damage or something. Yes, it is front wing damage. He goes on the hard compounded tyre. So
yeah, that won't make it to the end, though. He's going to have to come in once again.
Yep.
That hard tyre lasts around 26 laps at most. If he's really, really nice and gentle to it, and, you know, maybe, you know, candlelight dinner for the tyres, then maybe 28, 29, but that's about it. And that's not going to be enough. He's going to maybe hope for a safety car. That could actually help him if he's able to close up to the other drivers, which at this point it's going to be pretty tough to do, considering that obviously, you know, the other drivers are on softs and he's on hards, and those softs aren't really old either for the other drivers, and even for the mediums. That's going to be really, really tricky for him to catch up anything. As we said, 2.3 seconds is the difference between fresh softs and fresh hards.
yeah, indeed. I think the hards, it's going to be a miracle if he wants to gain positions, of course, but there may be other people that will be having less luck than him, but we'll see anyway. It's a shame to see him down there in last place, but it's not about where you start, it's where you finish. So we're on lap 4 already, and DRS obviously has been enabled, so obviously there's 2 DRS zones on the circuit, obviously, so it's going to be harder for these guys to use it to their advantage. And we're seeing these guys starting to use their overtake buttons on the straights, but some of them are using it a little bit too much, and their battery is going already, so they need to start to balance it a bit more as they go through and battle with the guys, because these gaps are so close. If you're not careful, the guy that's got more ERS and overtake than you, they're more than likely going to try and get the move done compared to you on less ERS and overtake.
Yeah, one thing you can do is use a lot of overtake on laps 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then as long as you stay in the DRS of the guy ahead, then you can start saving some back. And I think that's what we're seeing maybe with CRG Sparks here. He's down to 15% and less as he is now heading towards turn 1. He is still in the DRS zone of Danny, so That definitely worked out, at least to some extent. Danny doing a much better job here at 65%. That is how I would manage it if I could, if I was that good. Obviously, I'm not, but yeah. No,
that's why you're in the commentary box rather than racing.
Exactly, but that's how you manage the ERS. You use a lot on the first lap, because the last thing you want, as we already have a retirement, and that is Louis. No, Jordan.
One of the BDG guys. Obviously, this is the BDG channel we're streaming on, and that's going to be very bad news for the BDG fans in the chat and for us as well. That's a shame. That's one BDG driver down, but you know, he was not running. Had a good start of the race really, and he had a strong qualifying, obviously, and his mistakes just let him down really. So what a shame. Hopefully he can pick back up when the new season 26 starts, fingers crossed. But yeah, Vast Racer is already gaining more time on Sparks due to his ERS. He's got 73% of ERS. He knows when to save, obviously. He wasn't in many battles really. The only battle he was with the AlphaTauri of Paris. So he had enough chance to save as much as possible. Maybe some of the guys maybe trying and obviously push people to use their ERS, so they try and get the overtake done. That's probably my biggest downfall on this game. If I see someone behind me, I want to make sure I use as much ERS as possible, but you got to save in some elements on the track. But you can see Faster Racer getting a lot faster as well in terms of his management, and obviously he's not using his overtake just yet, only when he needs to and when he's close to CLG Sparks, which is good. And obviously we see Midnight having a battle at the back with Nickel Blocks as well for 16th place, don't forget. And oh no, Midnight and Onyx as well. Midnight and Onyx, I was going to say. Sorry about that, as they approach the DRS zone.
Yeah, and I just saw that Onyx does have front wing damage. That's why he's so slow. Remember, he wasn't up in P13 at one point. Something must have happened. Right side end plate is gone on his car. Obviously, he's trying to nurse the car to the pit stop window. It's a little bit too early. Again, as I said, 26 laps, maybe 27, 28, if you want to really stretch the hards, is what they can do. So he can't come in just yet. He has to stretch it just a little bit longer with that damage. Oh, that is just so painful to watch. And now he lets, I would say almost he lets a Ferrari by. Doesn't even let him by. In fact, gets the cutback there on the exit of turn one and stays ahead at least for now. But yeah, he's under huge pressure there. And with the damage, obviously, that's a lot of pressure from a guy behind who has no such damage. I don't know who he came together with. It could have been Aero, who is now in P13. That might be an maybe Prinens in P12. Maybe he ran into the back of Prinens.
Whoa, I think the VSR chat would be. I don't know what to say with that if they come together, of course. But we got lost to another retirement. That is Lee Finley. Where did he lose it? It's turn 8 to turn 9, and then he started turn 9 actually. So yeah. Obviously, we can't see where people retired properly on circuit because obviously the game doesn't have that. I kind of wish it did, but you can only see the track map, so that's a shame. But there we go. That's 2 retirements out, so more chances for people to win the big bucks, pretty much in this race, which at the moment looks like to go to Danny Sparks and Vast Racer. But it's not about where you start; it's where you finish. And these guys have just got to keep it consistent. We got another yellow flag. Obviously, I think it's just people moving out the way, or just probably people just slowing pace on. Yeah, it's Onyx actually, who's I think still out, I believe, due to front wing damage, or is he pitted? I'm not entirely sure.
No, he is not pitted, no.
It's hard to tell because the one known glitch on this spectator view is the tyres. They don't show true representation on how long they've been on for. Just wait until, if the people on the hards go on the soft, just wait until that happens. Yeah, there was one, I think I was commentating on Austria, there was someone that was on 50 lap old softs, where clearly they weren't. So you'll see that, but hopefully they get it fixed for the next patch. Well, this is the glitch that we knew about before going into this race, so we're not going to be too shocked if we see it again, but it's 36 laps.
There are a couple glitches, really. One being with the timing as Paris Burrell now comes into the pits. That is early. Definitely can make the change to the hards and make it to the end, and no front wing change either. So that seems to be a scheduled pit stop, and therefore a massive undercut. Onyx also coming in now to get their front wing changed. So he thinks 28
Onyx is
laps.
out.
Oh no, he retires.
Oh. Okay, so one AlphaTauri out. So I'm guessing the damage for Onyx.
The Haas.
Yeah, the Haas actually, sorry. My bad. That's a shame for Onyx, who was looking strong in the race, and yeah, he's left the session. He's not happy whatsoever, but he can hold his head high, really, and obviously start practicing for the future season, and try and get, because obviously Zandvoort, I believe, is on the season 26 calendar as well. I can't remember what round it is, but it is somewhere. So you'll need to practice for this track again. So he's got to get better at it, that's for sure. But Danny still leads from Sparks. And look at the gap he's pulling already to Sparks. I mean, he is a pro draft driver for a reason. And I think Master Race has dropped a bit on Sparks as well. So I think Master Race has caught up. We got Casper and Louis making their first pit stop. A lap earlier than I would have thought. I thought they would have pitted at the end of lap 11. But they're pitting now onto the hards.
I think this is a clear response to Perez Burrell coming in, although at the same time maybe it's a little bit too early. I'm not so sure, as Perez slightly runs into the back of his teammate for today, Lickel, both in the AlphaTauris here, and Perez has actually jumped both of them, Casper and Louis, behind him now. And one thing I think we have to mention for this year and for this game is, for the first time really, dirty air is a thing on this game. You can feel it. If you do follow another car through fast corners, you will feel the understeer, that the car is going wide and that you will not have the grip that you usually have if you're running on your own. So it's much harder to follow a car this year, and that also makes it harder, obviously, to overtake. And on this track even more so, where you don't have any sort of long straight, apart from maybe the start-finish straight, and even that one certainly limited in length.
Yep, Sparks in the pits now. Yep, Sparks in the pits. We've got Ash Best in the pits as well. So I believe they're going there. They obviously got to respond to, obviously, Paris. And obviously they're pitting when I was expecting to pit, around about lap 11 time. So the pit window is obviously open. So Ash Best comes out in 17th. Casper's also pitted, I believe, as well. So then in the back of that, they've got a lot of traffic to get through, obviously, as well. So they've got to manage that as well, more than anything, like you were saying earlier as well. I'm surprised the top four haven't pitted yet, but obviously we'll see what their sector times are. And if they're losing time, then maybe it's a sign for them that they need to go into the pits now. But they want to make sure those hards go to the end, of course. You can stretch the softs to around lap 14, but it is a bit of a gamble. So, but Danny's got a comfortable gap anyway, so he will be fine. But I'm worried about the other guys that will be losing time to the likes of the ones who are obviously on the hards right now.
Danny comes in now.
Oh,
and Master Racer follows him, and so does Blizzard. So does Liam. Everyone's coming. Gil's staying out. He will assume the lead now. Is he? No one's on the softs anymore, so all the soft runners now in. They've all made their stops, and Gil and Thyman are now the two front runners, both on the mediums, with Prinen's Arrow on the hards, obviously. And yeah, it's really, really interesting to see. Look where Danny came out ahead of CRG Gamer. And then Sparks, who was second, who is still sort of net second, now 3 seconds behind. So Danny actually even gained some time while Sparks was... he wasn't really stuck in traffic there. He's over a second away from CRG Gamer, but at the same time, somehow Danny definitely gained some more time on that Alfa Romeo from CRG Sparks.
I think that's going to benefit him towards the end of the race as well, where his tyres will be significantly, obviously, newer than compared to his rivals, and that will benefit him in the long run. And the likes of, obviously, all three of these guys as well. They're in huge contention, obviously, of the prize, of course, but for some of them, they don't want the prize. They just want to have a bit of fun. But if I was these drivers right now, if there was a prize of money involved, would that force you to push yourself to do more overtakes or maybe less overtakes? Oh!
Well, there's Danny doing one into turn one with some help from Aero. Aero let that happen, really. And I would say smart call there from Aero, knowing that that guy in front is on a very different strategy than you are. And there's no point really fighting it all too much. You just cost yourself some time and you cost the guy behind some time. So, Paris Burrell is out.
Oh, what happened there?
Paris
That is
out. That is the exit of turn 4. And I gotta be honest, that's a spot where I've dropped it before.
Me too. Me too.
Okay. I've spun to the left side as well. They're just like Paris has. Then again, I did it on medium traction control. He did it on none because obviously those drivers here, no assists whatsoever enabled for any of them. But yeah, no VSC or even no full safety car, even VSC for the situation, as the wreck is now removed and we are back under full green flag racing. But yeah, I've done that before. Very tricky spot. There is, as soon as you get out of the banking and back onto the sort of like straightened up tarmac, there is a spot where you can really easily lose it, and I would assume that's what happened to Paris here, and that's how he dropped it to the left.
Blizzard and Fabi are having a battle for, well, it may not be for position, but it is a battle anyway into turn 2. And I think Blizzard just got clear the traffic as well, but Fabi's still looking fast. He's still challenging for, obviously, P10 on track, but I believe Fabi's the one who started on the hard tyres, so he'll be going to the softs. He'll expect to be to pit around about lap 22 to 24, so expect those hards to go for a little bit longer, but he's still having a little bit of fun nonetheless, and he's good lap times at the moment, which is great to see, of course, and he obviously trying to defend off Blizzard, but he's going to lose considerable ground to the likes of Casper as well and Liam, who are obviously prancing as well. Obviously the guys that obviously pitted on the hards are right at the bottom of our screen right there. We got the likes of Gil, Simon as well. Those two have not pitted yet. They are on the medium compound tyres, and they will be going on, almost certainly going onto the hards at around about in about a few laps time actually, because there's no way you can go on the softs on this track. Medium to soft, there's just, unless you do a 2-stop. There might be people doing a 2-stop, but that's not the common strategy around here. The most common strategy is the 1-stop. And I do believe Sparks has just got past Gamer, which he does, and that's him up into P6. And they're still fighting for traction, so the Sparks managing to pull away and get rid of the traffic. So there he is, up to P6 on track. He's got a clear aero now in 2.3 seconds time, but I'll expect to see Simon and Gil pitting very soon.
Yeah, I would be surprised if any of them go on to a 2-stop here. As interesting as it is, because you only lose 16 seconds, or really 15 and a half seconds from a pit stop. So it's not that much in the grand scheme of things. You can definitely get that back out with a 2-stop strategy and with the softer tire. But the issue here is you can't overtake. It's incredibly difficult unless the other guys, we saw with Danny and Aero, unless the other guy lets you by, then that's a different story. But that's what makes the 2-stop really, really unviable around here. Just on pit stop loss, it would the 2-stop would actually be the better strategy most likely, but you just lose so much time by not being able to overtake that it's in the end not really worth it. And yeah, we have to expect Gil and Thyman any second now. Really, lap 16 is the end of the pit window that I wrote down and that I researched. So I don't think they can go that much longer. The mediums really only last about 18 to 20 laps. So even if they do stretch them a bit longer, I don't see the benefit really from that, to be honest. However, it needs to be said, the crossover point between the mediums and the hards is 18 laps. So you're actually going to be the quickest if you try to stretch these mediums for 18 laps, then come in. So maybe, just maybe, they will stay out a little bit longer here and try to stretch this towards lap 17, lap 18. And as we see, at least lap 17, they do.
Yeah, I think with some of them, they just want to push as hard as they can, really, to be honest. If I want to go on the hards, he would have pitted now. But look at this. Liquid Blocks is defending for its life against Casper, Casper's on newer tyres, don't forget. And he's still managing to fight with these two, which is great to see. Just past turn 2 now as Again, the little banking is going to be a really tricky as well. Casper can't afford to lose time like this. He's got to get past the AlphaTauri pretty soon, because otherwise he's going to be in danger of losing grid position to ones who have got past the traffic. So I think he must be a little bit worried right now, as well as the likes of Liam, Louis and Ash Best still on this train for a potential points finish, obviously, for some of these guys. And most of these guys want to fight for the big bucks here tonight, and they're just getting held up by Lickle Blocks, who is on a different strategy. My oh my, I didn't want to be in those shoes right now, but Casper needs to get a move on as we got our first penalties. Midnight and Fabi both getting 3-second time penalties.
Well, we had our very first penalty, I think, on lap 1 or 2, and it was VSR Onyx who got a 3-second time penalty, but obviously he's out of the race now.
Yeah, that's what I mean, so yeah.
Non-consequential. Louis Welch as well, getting 3 seconds. It is very easy to get some penalties here. Obviously, it's going to be key for all the drivers to stay penalty-free as much as possible. And sometimes it just happens that, you know, you just dip a wheel onto the curve, or, you know, all 4 wheels onto the curves instead of just 2. And, well, they have a warning. You get that 3 times, and it's a penalty. So it's very easy to get. And sometimes it just happens. I'm talking from a lot of experience here. I've gotten a lot of penalties in my team mode. I'm playing it a long time, I'm playing it a lot. And yeah, penalties are easy to get around here, especially.
Yeah, I've done a 50% race around this track multiplayer, and yes, I think I've got a few penalties around here, and that definitely costed my chance of points in the race, but I had a little bit of fun anyway. So it is strict on this game in some tracks. Zandvoort is not too bad compared to other tracks, whereas like Austria, I found if you put it on strict corner cutting, it gives you penalties left, right and centre, I think more than any track on this game. So, you know, you don't want to be racing in Austria on strict corner cutting, but obviously that is something you got to get used to in Season 26, because Austria is the first track on the Season 26 calendar. This is obviously the first race in real life, and obviously the first race at Season 26 for PSGL, and to be honest, I'm quite happy about that, because that's always a good race in league racing. But yeah, so that should be interesting. But we're halfway into this race now, and we're starting to see the pecking order a little bit more, and we're still seeing 3 drivers yet to make their one and only pit stop, most likely. For some of these guys, probably 2 stops. Why are Gil and Simon not going in? Those mediums are not going to last forever. They got 1 more lap, and then they need to go into the pits. Otherwise, we could be hitting puncher territory.
Yeah, it's going to get really close towards that. I would be very surprised if they stay out 1 more lap. I'm on board with Gil right now, trying to see if the pit light hasn't come on for both of these drivers, so maybe they just. Yeah, Gil still stays out.
Or they might be on hards, and the game's not telling us.
It could be. It could very well be the case, but it is very surprising, I have to say, if they're not. Certainly, maybe they're trying the 1 stop. Maybe they're trying to stretch these mediums so long that they try to go onto the softs then, which is really going to stretch it. I mean, you have to do some fantastic tire saving, and then the pit window would be around lap 21. Is where you would want to go, but you have to be so gentle to the mediums and then the softs as well that it's almost not a viable strategy.
Nah, it's definitely not. I mean, the softs don't last long anyway. I know some people are pushing for that, but you're already losing to they're already going to lose position. So obviously the whole rest of the field are going even closer. We can already see that the Prinez has been on those tyres for pretty much the whole race, the hards. He's already catching up to the medium runners already. So you can see the mediums is not the best tyre to be on right now. So, well, if you've been on for most of the race, is Simon going in? No, not. Both stay out. Oh,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Can you please go on board with Gil? I want to show something in turn 4.
Yeah, sure.
Because I talked about this earlier, heading towards this highly banked corner here. Look at the steering wheel from Gil. You see, you don't see it on him, but generally most drivers do slightly steer to the right as they get out of that corner. They do steer obviously to the left for the most part, come out of the corner and then slightly to the right, because they all get that twitch on, and they all get that sort of little slide that they have to correct. Unfortunately, Gil, even though he's on that old tires, did not get it there. So maybe that's the secret right there to his tire management skills, that he doesn't have to do that. He's just so gentle on the throttle that doesn't happen to him. But for most drivers, there is a moment where they just slightly, just a bit, about maybe 10 degrees of steering input that they have to put to the right on the exit of turn 4. And that's the moment where the rear of the car steps out. And now lap 21, Gil comes in.
Finally.
And I think Simon as well. Yes, indeed.
And Printer's doing the dummy there.
No, Prince just wanted slipstream as much as possible.
Fair
he
enough.
was not in it for a dummy. He was in it for the slipstream. And yes, they go on to the softs. They want to do the medium to soft one stop. That is daring.
That is, well, we're pretty much on lap 22 now, and it'll be 15 laps. The softs only last 14 laps.
Yeah, that's why I said, I mean, the mediums only last 20 and they did 21. So, really,
it could be
really
one lap difference, really. You know?
Well, it's really about, as I said, about tire management. You know, you want to be as gentle as possible on these tires. They're going to get them towards 65-70% for sure, maybe 75%. Beyond 75% is generally where you hit puncture territory. Sometimes a little bit earlier, sometimes it's already 70% where it starts. And at so the way it works, at 75%, pretty much, you hit puncture territory. That doesn't mean that you get a puncture at 75%. That's not how it works. But the danger exists at 75%. With every percent more, the chance increases. As CRG Gamer now into the pits on the hards. First one to get rid of those. Midnight following him in. We still have plenty of hard runners out there who haven't pitted yet. That would be Prinens, Aero, and Lickle. Those are the 3 drivers who we are still expecting for a pit stop onto the softs. And that's early for the hard runners there. Midnight and CRG Gamer. 14 laps on the softs. Then again, 14 laps on the softs.
That's the cut-off point.
But late in the race, certainly possible, because you got to remember, there's not as much fuel in the car anymore. And lighter car means less lighter car means less tire wear. So you're going to be a bit more gentle with these tires, because the car doesn't just throw its weight around effectively into every corner, but you have less weight to handle. Therefore, the car or the tires don't have to do as much work, and it's a little bit easier to manage the tires that late in the race. So maybe the 15 laps are possible. Prinen's now in. He's going to have to do 13. That's certainly manageable. Same with Aero. And Lickle, is he going to come in as well to be the last one for a pit stop? Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yes, he is. I wanted to wait for the dummy there, but...
no, he got 5-second penalty. I think as the only one out of all of them to get a 5-second penalty.
Yep.
So that will get added to the end of the race, of course. And the big shocker, Louis is out. Where... Did he retire in the pit lane, it looked like?
In the pit lane, yeah, he retired in the pit.
Ah. So, what, did he get damage or something? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I'm a bit surprised. That came out of absolutely nowhere.
I was shocked. I am shocked that Louis retired, but maybe someone in the chat who is from BDG can share us a little bit more light, maybe, to why he decided to retire, potentially. He might have been, might have been having some issues or something, maybe technical issues, potentially. We don't know, but... yeah, if someone can actually tell us why, because we can't see the retirements, that'll be great. But we're seeing a few of the soft runners get past the obviously the ones who are on the hards at the moment. Obviously, Prined's doing the same. Simon up to 6th, Gil up to 5th. He's not on 26-lap-old softs. Do not panic. He's not on 26-lap-old softs. He's on, I need to think. 4-lap-old softs. Simon is, I do believe Simon's tyres are right, I believe. So,
wait, hold on. 3 laps. Sorry, he came in at the end of lap 21. So 22, 23, 24, and this lap. So 3.5 for Gil. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, so for some of the drivers, the tyres are right. And for some of the drivers, the tyres are wrong. So, yeah. And we are going to get to a situation where there'll be some people on the softs that say that the softs are like 50 lap old. Just ignore those. But anyway, we still got some battles going for the soft runners. We're seeing it's like the real life Austrian, Styrian Grand Prix, where we're seeing battles at the start and at the end of the Grand Prix, and not in the middle. I think we're seeing that right now with Gil on fresher softs and softer tyres. And Blizzard, we got on the yellow flag. That's a Ferrari, and that's Fabi.
Fabi, yeah, that's Fabi, who has pretty much, I would say, at this point, probably done the same that Aero has done in qualifying.
That was turn 8 into turn 9.
Yeah, turn 8, easy corner to get wrong because you're running there with 250 kilometers an hour. And a very, very tricky one that as Aero has left the session. I don't think that was voluntary. As his car now goes into the pits. And that certainly isn't voluntary.
No, it's not. Oh, I think that's AI for you.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah, he left, and that's AI in that pink Mercedes. They're taking a second pit stop, also known as a racing point. Yeah, that is very unfortunate for him. What tires did he go on? That is the soft. So, I mean, at least he has some pace now if he rejoins, but yeah, that's not what he was hoping for. Let's see if he will rejoin. Very unfortunate either way. And Fabi also coming in after his accident there. Happy to make it to the pit lane, really.
Yeah.
And
hopefully
yeah,
he still goes.
Gil has made it past Blizzard, so that is one position already gained. Now the next one would be Vasta Racer, and Gil is very close to that Mercedes.
Ooh.
Uses the overtake, uses everything he has. Throw the kitchen sink at it. To the inside he goes. Late on the brakes and gets the position. Vasta Racer wants the cutback, doesn't get it. And that is Gil into P3. So yeah, you can actually overtake on the brakes if your tires are that much better as they are for Gil right now.
Yeah, I think Gil's in third place. Like, considering where he started, let me just have a look. He started 11th, and he's third.
Aero has rejoined meanwhile.
That's good. That's good news. That's good news. It's going to take a while for him, obviously, to join the session, because obviously in PS4, I've noticed it takes a bit longer, obviously, to get to the race. So hopefully you can join back towards the end, obviously. But yeah, Gil up 8 places. We thought that the medium to soft strategy could be a risk, but obviously it could still be a risk, because obviously it'll be slower towards the end of the race. With the likes of Vasta Racer, Blizzard and Prinez, those lot are fighting for the last spot in the top 3, the final place where you can actually get money on this race to win. Obviously, third place gets a little bit of money, second place gets more money, and first place gets even more extra money. So it's nice to see a battle for those that final position coming to fruition here. I'm almost certain that unless the top 2 make any mistakes, the top 2 is going to remain unchanged. But it's down to, I think, Gil, Vasta Racer and Blizzard to really hammer home, get the strategy to a T and manage those tyres, manage the ERS, and if you do that, then third place is yours. But I can't call it. I think the one who has the best chance, I think it's probably, I'm just looking at the tyre life, I think the best chance, if it was due to tyres, it will be Gil, but I'm just worried that he's just going to start to die when the hards are going to be the optimum, so...
Yeah, the one issue for Gil is he's now stuck behind Sparks a little bit here, and he needs to make it pass as quickly as possible. Then maybe, just maybe, he might have a chance at catching up to Danny, because right now the softs are still much quicker, much quicker. We're talking over a second a lap on the compared to the hards, but he just can't make it past Sparks. You see this right here; he just can't make it past. And with the dirty air in play as well, Fabi, meanwhile, gets the fastest lap, as he doesn't have any dirty air. You see how quickly that is, 1:10.0. And just compare that to Danny's last lap, which was 1:11.2. That's 1.2 seconds right there. And I would assume that Gil might even be a little bit faster if he didn't have Sparks in front of him. But that dirty air now ruins his strategy, and he can't make it past that Alfa Romeo in front. That's why you don't want to run an alternate strategy around this track only when it's easy to overtake, like Canada, like Monza, like Spa. That's where you can run an alternate strategy. Here, not so much. Very hard to overtake.
Yeah, places where the hards are not the best optimum tyre, definitely not. Or even if it's just soft to medium. It's soft to me. People could do mediums to softs on some tracks. Definitely not this track. So Gil's got his work cut out. He's third at the moment, but for how much longer? And Fabi is out. That is turn the kink. Oh, I think it's 13. Turn 13.
Yeah, there's exit of the Audi S. Spun to the left-hand side, it seems, and into the wall.
Gil's got ahead of Sparks. He managed to get him into turn 1, I think, with a softer tyre, but Sparks, I think, is going to stay there for 6 laps. He knows that the tyre... I'm certainly Sparks is going to tell... Well, he's going to speak to his Jeff, at least, and see how Gil's tyres are looking, and if he does that, then he's probably going to have more instinct to push on those hards to try and get past him once more when the tyres go towards the end. Meanwhile, for battle for P9 is Brain. Gamer has got past Ash Best on those softer tyres, and he's up into P9 right now.
Once again, Ash Best was kicked from the lobby, apparently. He was kicked from the server. He just rejoined. Hasn't taken control back of his car. That's going to happen hopefully any second now. Maybe Ash Best can fight back and give us a good little battle here with CRG Gamer. And he's now back in. Yep.
That's good news.
4 P9. But yeah, Gil at this point. Oh, this is going to be really, really interesting, I tell you. As I've lost the intervals between the drivers. Oh, there you go.
Me too. Oh no, it's coming back. It's coming back.
Yeah. 7.6 seconds on the line between Gil and Danny. Gil needs to make work of the fresh air he now has in front of him. Didn't do so last lap, really. 110.8, only 3/10 quicker than when he was behind Sparks. So that doesn't really help him that much. He needs to find more time. Then again, he also needs to nurse those tires home. 6 more laps, 5.5 more laps, really, on them. And he's already done, let me do the math, 9.5 at this point. So those tires are going off. And it's getting trickier and trickier for this Haas and for, I think, the only French driver in the lobby, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, indeed. The only French driver in the lobby in IGK Gil.
Yep, obviously another team, pretty much all these drivers, apart from a few, took part in the eSport. Their team has taken part in the eSports Cup, of course, and obviously IGK being one of the big surprises there in some races as well. So, to be honest... I'm not surprised that he's still up there, but I'm just worried he's going to lose a bit of time towards the end. But I think he's coming alive towards the end, but he's got to make sure he's 1.1 seconds clear of Sparks now. He's got to make sure he saves enough tyre life, saves enough ERS now, and then he should be fine. Danny has nothing to worry about. He can save a bit of tyre life until the end. Obviously, almost certainly that he's going to make it to the end. But if he's worried about tyre life, he can almost certainly save fuel, save tyres, and then push to set a remarkable lap on the hards that we may not know about, but we'll see anyway. But yeah, so we're down to 14 drivers. 6 obviously have retired. For those of you that are wondering, the grey transparent things are obviously they retired and they're not racing anymore. We're only down to 1 BGG driver. That's not good, but Midnight, he's about 3.3 seconds on a point, and he's on the soft. So again, he's got to find 3.2 seconds in the next 4 or 5 laps. I wonder if he has enough strength to be able to do it and give BDG some hope tonight of scoring at least 1 point in this race, because that's all the luck that they need right now. But Midnight started lower down in the grid considering where he was. He's doing a remarkable job out there.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the penalty situation for some of these drivers. And
oh yeah, that's a good idea.
for Midnight, he got a lot of... It says here invalidated lap time, but it doesn't say penalty. So I don't know what he did there, whether he did get a penalty for... I think he did, right?
Or it might be a warning.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he did get a 3-second time penalty. So apparently it doesn't say penalty in the race director anymore. It now says invalidated lap time if they do get a penalty, which is very, very unfortunate, I think. But that Gil also had 2 of those and no warning. So I don't know how this exactly works.
Hopefully, so it doesn't tell us how many seconds it is. It just says invalidated lap time. That's not going to help when we try to work out the difference, really, because some of them got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
So Gil does have invalidated lap time twice, but no penalty. It's both times a warning. So they need to fix that as well, I think, because this is really bad for league racing. Sparks 2 warnings as well. Voster Racer is on 2 warnings, so no penalties for them, for any of them. Blizzard as well, 2 warnings. They're cutting it really thin, I have to say, because the 3rd warning is a penalty.
Yeah.
Simon on 1, Prinnin's no warning, so he's been a very good boy.
Squeaky clean, as Owen likes
Liam
to call
Parnell
it.
2. CRG Gamer, somehow he's gotten 4 warnings and a penalty. I think 2 of those warnings were for contact. With Aero, and another one, if I can find it, with I think with Jordan.
Yeah, it was Jordan, I
Jordan
think, as well.
On. Yeah, but apart from that, he has a penalty. So CRG Gamer, the first one with 3 seconds. Ash Best, again, squeaky clean, not a warning. Midnight, 1 penalty, 3 seconds. So that makes his job even harder to make it into the top 10. Effectively, he's 7 seconds behind Ash Best, because he would have to overtake Ash Best and then gain 3 seconds. And with 7 seconds behind, with only 2 laps left, really, that's going to be very tricky.
Yeah, I think these guys have just got to forget about those penalties they got and concentrate on their... Basically, most of these guys, they need to push to make sure they gain as much positions as possible. Maybe they'll be asking their Jess how many penalties people got. That will force them to push even more. We're on the penultimate lap now, and it is the final push for Gil, Vaster Racers, Sparks, and Blizzard now, and potentially Prenez, who's got no penalties, to see who's going to get second and third place. We all know that the winner of this race, unless he makes a mistake, is going to be Danny. He's going to get the top prize. As it stands right now, it's going to be no challenge for him. But what about the other guys? We'll see. Gil is struggling a little bit. Vaster Racers gained more time on Gil this lap, and it is almost a cut-off point now. So we can see Gil, I think the back end will start to lose itself a bit more, I think. And we're on the final lap now. This is where it's really going to heat up now. Who's going to win the big bucks tonight and who's going to just miss out? Blizzard's on the back of this train as well. On the track where it's hard to overtake. I think it's going to come down to these penalties as they go through the windy and twisty section of the circuit then. Oh, a little bit of a lock-up from Sparks. That's probably gain momentum on Blizzard then as we go full throttle potentially and then they go up the hill and then brake just before the 100-meter board there. They just go to the right just a little bit. Blizzard's just ever so close. If he finds a little bit more time, he could get him. Maybe in the next DRS straight is where we potentially see this. Sparks not that close to Blizzard at the moment, but Vaster Race, I don't think it's getting close enough to Gil. But again, penalties may play a little bit of a factor to this. Final DRS zone of the circuit. First DRS zone. Blizzard is not going to get past Sparks now. Intersects 2, but let's go and watch Danny. He has been a class field of everyone this whole race. He won qualifying, he took pole, he tops every single session, and he takes the big money. He wins in Zandvoort tonight.
And here comes Blizzard with DRS.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be a photo finish. Oh,
wow, on the line, but he doesn't
goodness.
get it on penalties. I think on penalties, Blizzard gets demoted back to P5.
And Gil
Sparks
second.
still keeps P4. But what a run out of the final corner there for Blizzard. Unbelievable. But yeah, Danny gets the £35. Gil, second place, £10. And Vaster Race in third place gets £5 for the results of this race. Then we have CRG, Sparks, and Blizzard, P4 and P5. What a finish that was.
That was insane.
Brennan's in P6, Thyman P7, Liam Parnell P8, CRG Gamer P9, Ash Best P10. Those are the points so far. And then we had Casper in P11, and unfortunately I don't remember the rest. I think it was Midnight in P12, and the rest we're going to have to see in a couple of seconds. Driver of the day.
Oh, I like that. I love that. I love the pose. And to be honest, I would have to say, apart from Danny, Gil, I think, has been the superstar. How on earth did he get those tyres to the end of the race, do a medium to soft strategy, and somehow made it work. That is crazy.
Yeah,
from
and you
Gil.
gotta remember, Gil started in P11. Like he didn't even make it to Q3. He just missed out on Q3. Started on the mediums, switches to the softer strategy we didn't even expect, and finishes in second place. The tire management skills of IGK Gil are probably second to none at this point, and ultimately just a fantastic result. And the game did it for us, really. But I would have to give Driver of the Day to Gil as well if I was asked.
Luckily, the game agrees with us. Woo!
Yes.
Yes. I wonder what you guys think of the chat. Do you agree with both of us and the game's decision on Driver of the Day, or do you think someone else deserves to be Driver of the Day? Now, there's your results quickly. Danny wins. From Gil, Faster Rated. Those three get some money into their bank accounts very, very soon. And then we got Sparks, who's just missed out, as well as Blizzard and Prinez. Great fighting from them. And we got Simon, Liam, Gamer, and Ashbest, Casper. We got Midnight, Ickleblocks, Aero, Fabi, and then our retirements from Fabi, Louis, Paris, Onyx, Lee, and Jordan. And I've just noticed there's a different esports each. There's 3 different esports teams in the top 3.
Wow.
So we got one for S2V, one for IGK, and one for VSR.
That is wild.
That is crazy. So I believe now what we're doing is I'm gonna see if there's someone waiting in the interview box. No one is waiting at the moment for
I don't think they want to
interviews.
talk to us. I think they're shy.
Yeah, I think they're shy to talk to us. I'm almost... I don't think... Usually Louis is a talkable person. He likes to do interviews, but only if he's won. So I doubt he's going to join us in the box today. So, yeah. So, literally... For those drivers who are watching the stream now, you don't have to be the top 3. Literally, we can interview anyone at this stage. If you want to be interviewed, just go in the interview lounge. We'll just drag you in. It's simple as that. But yeah, well, there was a few issues with the race, but apart from that, I think it wasn't too bad. And obviously, we saw different strategies that I was not expecting at all. And obviously, the softer hards, based on what everyone was running, was definitely the best strategy today by a mile. So a tip if you're having a league race there pretty soon on PSGL.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I'm very excited for the PSGL season at this point. And obviously with the tracks that are going to be a part of it early on, especially. I mean, we saw it where the real life season starts in Austria. Then we go to where the real life season goes to in Hungary. Then we go to where the real life season goes in Great Britain. And then we start deviating Spain, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy, Vietnam, the new track. Then Japan, China, Bahrain, Canada, USA. And the season finale of season 26 will be in mid-November in Brazil.
Yes.
As we all love it, that's the historic one. Before Abu Dhabi came around, it was always in Brazil. It was always fun. And I for one, always loved it when we had the season finale in Brazil. And so that's coming back. But which one of these tracks, Jess, are you most excited for?
Well, no matter what happens, no matter what happens, either if I'm in the box or if I'm actually going to be watching it in this season, always a tough one. I'm really glad. I was talking about it earlier on in the stream. I'm very excited for Austria to be the first race because it's one of the best tracks on the calendar. I'm excited to see how the guys fare on the two new tracks. Obviously, we've seen 20 drivers here today who are in PSGL, but obviously we don't know how the other drivers that have signed up fared as well. I like a bit of Monza as well. Belgium brings out a bit of surprises, and I like obviously the last one in Brazil, but I've got to say Austria. Shame Bahrain's not on there because
Bahrain is on there. Bahrain is on there.
I can't
round
see
11.
it. Oh yeah, round 11. But shame that's late in the season. But there we go. But I do believe we got someone in the interview box, which is Ash Best. So I'm going to drag him in now. Hopefully this worked. No, I can't seem to drag him. I think we have to probably go in there, most likely, I think. Because we can't seem to drag him in there.
Yeah, I can't drag him either.
So, yeah, we'll go in there now. We'll do a bit of a countdown. You ready, Austin?
Yes,
right,
I am.
1, 2, 3, go in. There we go. Oh, someone's
so
dragged
he
it
joined.
in. Oh, he joined.
Yeah,
Okay.
someone else dragged him in,
Oh,
yeah.
because he's a steward, maybe. He's a steward.
Oh, that
He
could
has
be the case, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there we go. Ash Bessie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So talk about what happened in that race, because obviously it wasn't plain sailing for you. Obviously your first experience of Zandvoort on this game. Obviously, did you plan to do the strategy you were going to do, or did you deviate from it a little bit?
I was already going for the soft hard. It was from when I did practice with it. Soft mediums were not ideal, so soft hards were the obvious strategy. But yeah, I mean, had a bit of issues with the game disconnecting me, but overall, not a bad race, really. Pace was there.
And obviously, it's a track so hard to overtake, and obviously a track which is obviously new to the game as well. Have you had any experience of driving on Zandvoort in other games prior to F1 2020, or did you have to start from scratch when you got the game?
Yeah, when the game released, that was the first time I was driving Zandvoort, so it was great to experience learning a new track, because last time we did get a new track was in 2018, and that was a fairly simple track to learn, but Zandvoort has lots of different braking zones, lots of different lines you can take, and it's fairly difficult to nail a lap, so it's very enjoyable to drive it for the first time.
Yeah, because obviously I had a lot of fun when I was driving. I was got to say one of my favourite tracks as well. When you saw people that were on a different strategy to you, did you get a little bit worried that they were catching you, the soft runners, or were you just concentrating on your own race at this point?
Well, I was a bit worried about them, because obviously the softs were going to be quick, but they don't really last that long, especially with overheating. They just really maintain a pretty slow pace. Well, depending if you can manage the overheating, but over a couple laps, I wasn't losing too much time, so I just focused on the cars ahead and didn't really worry much about that.
And what was your favourite part of the race? What did you have the most fun on in this race? What did you enjoy the most about tonight?
I guess just after the pit stops, because we encountered some traffic in Lickle, and everyone was just fighting over that. So, like, being last in that train was just really enjoyable to watch everyone squabble about, and I ended up gaining a couple positions from that. So overall, it was pretty enjoyable. But yeah, it was very hectic, to say the least.
And obviously, season 26 coming up very soon. Obviously, Zandvoort it'll be round 6 of the calendar. Is there anything you'll do differently for round 6 after seeing what you've done tonight?
I think I just need practice more in the race, because whilst my quality pace was pretty decent, I got into Q3, messed up my lap a bit, but overall it was pretty decent. But in the race I was lacking a bit. I wasn't as close as I would like to be. So heading into the Zandvoort and PSGL, I'll just need to practice the race more, really.
Brilliant. And also about season 26 again, where with me and, well, Austin asked the same question to me. I'm going to ask the same question to you. Out of the 14 tracks we've got on offer for all the drivers, what will you say is your favourite track? Which is the one you're most looking forward to?
I've always loved Japan, and I'm glad to see it on the calendar again, because I don't believe it was in the calendar last season.
No, it wasn't.
So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to driving that. I've always loved driving that. Haven't driven it on this game yet, though, but hopefully when I get to driving it, it should be pretty fun.
And what would you say is the one that you're dreading the most? You look at that track, it's like, oh God, not that track. I know you're probably what you're going to say, but you just say it anyway.
Actually, it's not Vietnam.
Oh, it's not Vietnam. What?
It's for everyone in Vietnam, so I'm very
it's not Vietnam.
there.
I actually, I don't really mind Vietnam that much. Like, it's still not a great track at all, but at least you can get into a bit of a rhythm with it, with the S section, and overall it's not that bad of a track. But China is what I'm looking forward to the least. I've always struggled around it. I don't really enjoy driving it at all. So really, that's just going to be damage limitation, and I really don't look forward to that.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'll probably have to agree with you on that one. China being one of my worst tracks as well. I do believe you're taking part in season 26, am I right? As well?
Yep.
So, what expectations are you planning to... What are your expectations for the season? Obviously, you're planning to get to F1, hopefully, again. Where would you want to finish in the championship?
Well, in the past, I've been on a bit of a downfall since 2017. So hopefully with this game, pace looks much better. So heading back into F1 with the grid being so competitive, hopefully I can get top 10. I'll try and push for top 5 and just keep grinding it out and hopefully, get a great position.
I think that's all the questions I can think of. Austin, do you have any further questions to ask Ash Best?
Yeah, I've one. You did disconnect at one point during the race. How confident are you that you could have gotten at least P9? I mean, you finished 2.5 seconds behind CNG Gamer. How confident are you that you could have gotten that position if you hadn't disconnected?
I'm not really sure because me and Liam were around the same pace. I was gaining in Sector 1, he was pulling away in Sector 2, and we were about neutral in Sector 3. So, I don't know. It really... I just really don't know. Like, it would have had to... I wouldn't have to disconnect and see how the alternate future would have played out, but... yeah, honestly, who can say? I don't know. I might not have called him. Maybe he would have made a couple of mistakes and I would have caught up to him, but I don't know, really.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, you did get into the top 10, and I think that's all that matters, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I hope for more, but top 10 is top 10. It would have still been points, so it's not that bad.
All right, yeah, that's all I have.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Obviously, we've got 2 minutes of the broadcast left, and I don't think we have anyone in the interview box anymore. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Okay, so... we obviously talked briefly about the calendar. Obviously, sign-ups are still open for season 26. If you're thinking about it and thinking, hey, this racing is good, I may want to sign up as well. The times at the moment, we don't know how many tiers are going to be. They're not going to know until obviously sign-ups are sign-ups are closed and they've got how many people signing up. It's just crazy the amount of people that already signed up already. Though, so I think we're going to have a lot of tiers at the moment. But
yeah. I the last number I've got was from Kryptonite, who told me the number of people who have signed up is, I'm trying to find it, I think it was 285.
Ooh.
And that was a bit ago. That was like yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm not fully sure. So it could have been that since then it's now gone past 300. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, there it is. Found the tweet 22 hours ago. So effectively,
Fair play,
late
PSGL.
last night, Kryptonite told me 285. So at this point, it's probably almost at 300. And yeah, just short of 300 now. Says Connor, 297 roughly.
Wow! Wait, come on, guys, come on. If
Three
you
more,
haven't signed
three
up,
more.
if you haven't signed up yet, and you're thinking about it, sign up. I honestly, I swear to God, I honestly, I'm impressed with the amount of sign-ups they've got with a PS4 only league. That's absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. And if that doesn't persuade you enough, the top 3 tiers, they get a prize pool. As Connor wants us to promote right now. We're a little bit over time, but we may as well talk about it just to persuade you to sign up. First place in F1 tier gets 120 quid. Well, pounds. Second place gets £50. Third place gets £30. In F2, the F2 champion gets £30. And in F3, the F3 champion gets £20. So that's all. I believe those tiers are going to be run on Monday night at 7. Well, it depends actually when F3 is run, but we know F1 and F2 will be run on Monday night. No assist completely by the looks of things. And we got mid tiers on Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m. UK time, and then we got the lower tiers Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. UK time. Mid to lower tiers allow all other assists apart from braking assists, obviously. That's the only assist not allowed. Obviously, allowed ABS as well. And we got the performance tier Tuesday at 8 p.m. So make sure you sign up. time trial closes on July 26th, and the first evaluation race starts on July 19th, and the last race starts July 27th, with the FP evaluation day on July 21st. So, and with the placements announced on the end of July, if all is going well and the game fix the glitches. But there we go. So we don't want to overrun too much, but that's it for the Trovo Grand Prix today. I've been Jess Gamer 95, and thanks Austin for joining in the commentary box. Austin was actually meant to stream this, but unfortunately Austin had some technical issues, so last minute I had to quickly set up the stream. But I think without him sending the files to me in record time, I think I wouldn't have got the stream sorted. So thanks Austin for all your help for that, and for commentating alongside me, of course.
Well, it was a pleasure, absolutely, and I just gotta say thank you very much to, and I'm pretty sure I can say this for you as well. Thank you very much to both Brutal Democracy and PSGL for having us here in the booth for this race. It was an absolute pleasure having 20 of the best F1 drivers on the PS4. Always a treat. I mean, I've done the PSG Esports Cup with Owen before in F1 2019, and that was effectively, it felt like a continuation
Definitely.
of that. So really remarkable stuff from these drivers, and fantastic to have been a part of this. I gotta say thank you very much to BDG and PSGL.
Also, thanks to BDG also for helping to provide the prize pool for both this race today and obviously the PSGL Season 26 for the top 3 tiers. So thank you to those guys for doing that. And obviously, Danny, Gil and Vast Race will enjoy a bit of money pretty soon as well, depending on when they get paid, obviously. But I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We will see you really soon on the PSGL YouTube channel for some Season 26 action, starting with the evaluation races, of course. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you then. Goodbye.